So here we are at Green I/O, and I'm with Anne Curry, who, along with more people, has written the book Building Green Software. Anne, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Enjoying the conference.
Yes. And you just informed me it's an O'Reilly book, reasonably expensive, but you've just given away 20.
Yes, yeah, we did. We just gave away 20 signed copies. But also we are, although it's a very expensive book, we're really keen that the message gets out. And there is a Creative Commons license for the book. So if you go to my company website, which is strategically.green, you can read the book for free.
Fantastic. Oh, that's very kind and generous of you. Why were people so excited? Because there was a good queue. And people definitely wanted the book. Why are people excited about green software?
Well, people are excited about green software because the tech industry does have a very big climate impact. You know, data centers, something that nobody really talked about 10 years ago was data centers, but you kind of thought that everything just magically have computers and services just magically appeared on your machine in your own home. But in fact, the data is all processed in these enormous modern factories, which are data centers all over the world. And data centers use about 2% of the world's electricity, which means they're broadly around 2% of the world's climate impact. And the thing is, that is getting worse. So it used to be 2%, and you think, well, all industries have to cut all of their costs, and 2% is kind of like most industries are around that level. But data centers are really growing because of AI. I mean, we all love ChatGPT. We love ChatGPT, but unfortunately, that's ChatGPT and all its chatbot friends. They're not free, so they require even more data centers to be built. So we need to come up with a scheme whereby the data centers don't contribute to climate change. It's incredibly important.
But there's also software is everywhere. We don't realise there's software on our phones, or in our obviously computers, and possibly definitely in our cars as well. You know, to be a car technician these days means you need a laptop more than a toolbox. And something I remember about, let's say, certain operating systems, they began being known as bloatware. But there's way too much software going into them. Is that something you address in the book? We do, yes. Because
there are two forms of effectively bloatware waste within the tech industry. There's writing code that is inefficient, that uses more CPU than it needs to do the job. But there's also things that are operationally inefficient. So using two computers, two servers to run your software when actually you could just run it on one, for example. And doing those kind of things, not only does it increase carbon emissions, it also costs a lot of money, and it tends to produce systems that are a bit slower and also less secure. There's loads of downsides to doing it above and beyond just the carbon emissions. So its best practice is usually greener. And that's what we cover a lot in the book, is about just use best practice.
And how easy is it going to be to get coders to start thinking green? And I ask that because actually I just met a couple over there, Anna and her colleague, and the colleague was trying to make her to go green and not really succeeding. So what's your advice to a company that's got coders and you want them to go a bit greener?
Well, for most companies, the best thing they can do is just try and cut their costs in their own data centers. That's a really good proxy. And for most companies, this is the best proxy that you'll ever find. If you can cut your hosting costs in half, which we find is very common because there's a lot of waste of having machines that are running things that nobody cares about anymore, or they're over-provisioned, they're twice as big as they need to be. Just go and look at all of your machines and all of your software and say, am I over-provisioning on this? Can I cut my hosting costs? Aim to cut your hosting cost in half, and everyone will be happy. The planet will be happy, your boss will be happy, everybody will be happy.
Well, it sounds like a happy read.
That's our kind of key. If you do one thing after reading our book, we want you to save half of your hosting costs.
And as a last question, as a coder, I'm sure I'd enjoy it, but as a general reader, Is this all about code and hashtags and hard brackets?
It's definitely written for general readers. It's not really, because even coders, there are so many different types of coder that you can't write for a coder and they'll understand what other coders would understand. I think you have to step back and write for a general audience if you actually want to reach all coders as well. So we try to write for a general audience.
Lovely. Well, the book's called Building Green Software. I didn't actually announce all of the authors, but you got Anne Curry,
That's
yourself.
me.
Hello.
Yeah.
Got Sarah Sue.
Sue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sarah Bergman.
Sarah Bergman.
Sarah Bergman. She'll be livid if she'll be livid. Sarah Bergman.
They're very laid back in Sweden.
Yeah, but one more last question. But why three of you?
It's a lot of work to write a book. It's good to split it over people, but also I really liked working with Sarah and Sarah on it. It was a very enjoyable project to do. But also, Sarah and Sarah are a lot younger than me, and sometimes I think you need to get a more youthful perspective in these things. You can't just write, veteran to veteran. You actually have to include the voices of the somewhat younger.
You don't seem that old to me. But I suppose software is a young person's game, so I totally understand that. Well, Anne Curry, thank you very much for talking to us about building green software, available O'Reilly, but for free at your website, which is again?
Strategically.green.
Have a great conference.
And thank you very much.